Well, coming up on today's show, a variety of Hyundai Kona reviews hit the net. Ford forms a new company to bring together its EV business, and the Model 3 delivery windows start moving back again. Well, good morning, good afternoon and good evening, wherever you are in the world. Hello and welcome to the Thursday, the 26th of July edition of EV News Daily. It's Martyn Lee here with the news you need to know about electric cars and the move towards sustainable transport. Well, firstly, Sergio Marchionne sadly passed away yesterday following complications after shoulder surgery. The 66-year-old had been admitted to Zurich University Hospital for a routine procedure, but passed away on Wednesday morning. The tribute from Evo magazine reads, Marchionne joined Fiat in 2003 when the ailing Italian carmaker was on the verge of bankruptcy after posting a loss of €6 billion. Within 2 years, he turned it into a profit. In 2009, he orchestrated the deal to take control of the Chrysler company, saving it from bankruptcy and giving Fiat and Alfa a foothold in the United States. Well, all of our thoughts are with his family and friends. In terms of electric cars, he was a straight-talking boss of a car company, whereas others would make compliance cars and try and pull the wool over your eyes and tell you that it was part of their EV plan. Sergio Marchionne was famous for begging you not to buy things like the electric Fiat 500. He said, we're only making it for the Californian market. It's a pure compliance car. Please don't buy one. He was certainly straight-talking, and he will be missed. Well, kicking off with the news today then, and occasionally you see a handful of publications all release a review of the same car at the same time, often literally at midnight, and that tells you the press office have made them agree to adhere to some sort of embargo in order to obtain the review, and then it gets lifted and they all want to be first when they publish. And so it was today with the Hyundai Kona EV, although in fairness I knew one of them was coming because the awesome Bjorn Nyland, who I love for his slightly haphazard at times videos, but also incredibly in-depth reviews, and sometimes they're a little bit sweary, made a video saying that his review was indeed coming. Well, Bjorn posted almost 2 hours of video online today on his YouTube channel. I do wish sometimes he'd make like a hot take edit and just do like a 5-minute supercut of his thoughts for those in a real hurry, but please do have a look. I'm getting through those videos and they are really interesting and they're super in-depth. Bjorn's channel is excellent for both its content and frequency of videos he's producing now. So after the reviews, I'll talk a little bit about how you can get hold of one if you like the new Hyundai Kona, plus an email and some contacts I've had over the last week or so with one of the podcast listeners who has one on order and can shed a few more details about the order process. Well, we'll start with Pocket Lint, and they say the Everyman's EV is a near-perfect crossover. The Kona looks like a future vehicle, just different enough from its petrol and diesel Kona cousins, thanks to the closed-off front grille. They say it's comfortable too, with cushy seats that are both heated and cooled up front, ensuring temperature matching whatever the weather is outside. Electrically adjustable seats are a wink and a nod to the all-electric car's image. Not to mention a feature usually reserved for the premium option pack. One of the things that Bjorn was excited about on his video just very quickly was when he discovered the electric seats and then leant over and found the passenger seat is electrified as well. It makes sense if they're making these cars in both left-hand and right-hand drive. Just make them equal. And although he did mention no memory buttons on those, so if you share your daily driver with your partner, your wife, your husband, then you'll be moving the seats backwards and forwards every time you get in the car. Well, the Hyundai Kona has adaptive cruise control, says Pocket Lint, and auto braking. There's lane keep assist, blind spot warning, a reversing camera, which, by the way, just to add, Bjorn said wasn't HD, wasn't kind of Model 3 levels of reversing camera, but okay, good enough, and high beam assist. As the car can fully stop without using the brake pedal, the left paddle for regen can be used as the 4th level to control the brake, if you like. That is a one-pedal driving experience again. Well, Tom Ford at Top Gear says he drove the car for 200 plus miles and it still said it had 125 miles left in it, probably because they were in the EV charming conditions of Norway, he says. But more likely because the car is tested against the newer WLTP test procedure, calculated on a more real-world driving experience. With the current virus quality proliferation of charge points, says Tom, all around the UK, it's starting to be one of those tipping point moments when excuses to dismiss electric cars get really thin on the ground. Yes, there will inevitably be some getting used to be done, and horror stories about charge points being unavailable. In reality, it's a relatively cheap and eminently usable EV. Tom says, my usage pattern consists of a regular 200-mile round trip to the airport, where leaving it on a charge point for a week is probably rude. Yeah, that would be insanely rude, Tom. And he says the car wouldn't need a top-up. Eco mode shuts down the aircon and it mutes the throttle response, and it seriously increases the range. Sport mode does exactly the opposite. Well, the top spec long range gets a head-up display, a 7-inch supervision cluster, 8-inch LCD nav screen and cameras, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, a Krell audio system. If you're going for the top spec, you'll get the power, the heated, the cooled leather front seats, and a heated steering wheel, LED headlamps, and smart regen braking as well. So, on to the subject of how to buy one if you're thinking that the Hyundai Kona with its 64 kilowatt-hour battery pack is the one for you. Oh, and incidentally, do go check out the Bjorn video. He does a range test, one at about 90 Ks and one at about 120 Ks, and a high-speed test as well. And at the lower speed test, he gets some impressive efficiency out of it as well. So, if you're thinking of buying one, how are you going to get one from Hyundai? Well, they've got a thing called Click to Buy, and it's open in the UK on the 2nd of August, even though dealers had taken some deposits. And that's a little bit awkward. All orders are going to be reviewed equally, they say, because they've worked out a way around it. Well, one of the podcast listeners got in contact earlier in the week to say a quick update on his Kona EV ordering process. He says that Hyundai are honouring the orders that were placed with deposits direct with dealers before the Click to Buy feature or the kind of method was even announced. Those customers, including me, will now not need to use the website next week as stock will be allocated. The spec, the battery should be okay. In terms of choosing your colour, well, maybe you'll have to take what you're given, but I think all the colours are pretty sweet. By the way, that little note has made its way online into some YouTube comments, and the note to buyers from Hyundai reads as this: on the 29th of June, we announced the Kona Electric would be available to order via our online platform, Click to Buy, on the 2nd of August. Following this communication, we became aware that a number of our dealers had taken orders and deposits from customers prior to the announcement. As these customers had paid a deposit to their dealer in good faith, we asked the dealers to submit the details of those customers to the Click to Buy team so they could be placed into the Kona Electric order bank. Which is great news. They are honouring that for anyone who's already handed some money over to their local Hyundai dealer. It's a gorgeous looking car inside in terms of the tech that you get for the money. Maybe the touchscreen is perhaps a little Windows 9080 if I'm being mega nitpicky and critical, but you got to bear in mind that a lot of people are now comparing those in-car experiences to things like a Tesla, which you have to remember is a Silicon Valley company first, and if they're going to do one thing really well, it's going to be a massive screen that looks and works extremely well. Comparing it to most other cars, the in-car tech, the screen, and the heads-up display, which again is something that you only get on high-end models really, all looks like you get great value for money. And it's something that we would seriously consider. I'll put a link to those Pocket Lint and Top Gear reviews in the show notes for you to read. Well, Kyle Hyatt for CNET reports that Ford just created a brand new subsidiary company called Ford Autonomous Vehicles, and it's going to house all of its self-driving car efforts, including Ford's self-driving systems integration, the autonomous vehicle research and advanced engineering. Also things like user experience, the strategy and the business development teams who are all going to work with this brand new company that Ford launched, and that will include their EV business as well. The new company is going to be helmed by Sharif Marikby. He's currently the VP of Autonomous Vehicles vehicles and electrification at Ford. So, good news, they're taking it more seriously. It is, at the end of the day, just another announcement from Ford and not much to show for it yet. A link to the CNET article in the show notes if you want to have a read about a bit more. Well, moving on to electric, and Tesla is now pushing back delivery windows on new orders for the performance version and the rear-wheel drive version of the Model 3. According to Fred Lambert at Electrek, 2 weeks ago, Tesla cut those delivery windows down to 1 to 3 months for the performance version and the rear-wheel drive long-range battery pack version. According to the new update on their website, now the company has updated its design studio again. Every single option or every single iteration of the Model 3 now says 2 to 4 months across the board. So clearly they were having some issues. Well, in terms of my opinion, they were being able to make some cars a lot quicker and others obviously things to do with the different general assembly lines. However, it looks like they have maybe streamlined things, maybe got their ducks in a row a little bit more, and whatever car you order, they can now put a consistent 2 to 4 months delivery time on that. One of the comments from one of the users called Change summed it up quite succinctly, so I thought I'd bring you his comment. And he says this, and I quote, "We know Tesla prioritise the delivery of higher gross margin models, so if they now, despite of that, cannot deliver them faster than the other versions of Model 3, I read this as evidence that Tesla is selling a ton of Model 3 performance cars, which is good news with regard to the Tesla getting profitable in Q3 and Q4. Also with the 4 months as maximum delivery date and 20,000 production per month, Tesla could have logged about 80,000 confirmed orders for the Model 3. Yep, I'd agree with that. I would say that the 5,000 a week, which they hit at the end of the last quarter, was not burst rate, that's being unkind, but whenever they hit those big targets, they always fall back a little bit. Maybe people take their time off, their holiday that they've been stacking up, maybe just a well-earned break, and then they always exceed those numbers eventually. But maybe they're not making 5,000 a week at the moment. The next target is 6,000 a week, which they will be aiming for pretty seriously. Well, the Institute of Motor Industry in the UK, the IMI, says it's vital that training and accreditation is extended to those dealing with EVs at the roadside. That's according to Fleet News. Recent reports of the Tesla Model X, which indeed caught fire after it had been recovered by the emergency services, underline the need for industry-led accreditations and qualifications for those people that kind of pick you up on the roadside and help you out. And the emergency services, indeed, working on EV and hybrid vehicles. Well, the IMI's recommendations to implement a licence to practice for those working on electric and hybrid vehicles, and now forming part of the government's Road to Zero strategy. They're urging those kind of roadside recovery services to ensure their workforces are all equally prepared. And I wouldn't say that's just good news for you as an EV owner or someone who might own an EV in the future. It's good news for those companies who are facing a future where the cars that they'll be rescuing on the side of the road are going to break down a lot less than combustion engine cars. Well, there's a company called Nomad, and Nomad's Tesla Model 3 wireless chargers are phone wireless charging pads that have been specifically designed for the Model 3, plugging into the USB ports beneath the center console, and instead of dealing with wires and plugs, you can place up to 2 phones down onto the wireless charging pad and charge on the go. According to The Verge, the Tesla Model 3 wireless charger has got 2 7.5 watt coils in the Qi charger. That's 2 iPhones at once. And the wireless charger also features its own integrated battery that can store power when you're not actively charging the phones to allow the chargers to boost power output for speedier power delivery. Well, a couple more stories then, and a quickie from China. And, by the way, very quickly, I very cheekily mentioned either on Twitter or YouTube today in one of the comments about China having almost 500 EV makers. And one of the podcast listeners did call me up on that and went, yes, there's a lot of them, but yes, it's being done for political reasons. And no, many of them aren't being making cars in good numbers, and a lot of them are regional and being encouraged by different regional subsidies. It's not quite as straightforward as it sounds, and a lot of those subsidies are about to go. Well, one company, it may or may not affect, Chinese electronic vehicle maker DIC or Dark, it's DEARCC, or Dianca in Chinese, announced it's raised $294 million in a pre-A round from institutional investors, an automobile industrial fund, and companies already in the supply chain. So there's a Chinese EV maker making some serious fundraising. And finally, Greenwich Council here in London and the car rental firm Enterprise have partnered up to trial an electric car club in the borough. According to Air Quality News, car-sharing provider Enterprise is going to offer its members in Greenwich access to 2 Nissan Leafs to begin with, located in the neighbourhood, and a further 5 EVs will soon become available at those fixed charging bays. And a link in the show notes for that. And thank you very much to my mate on Twitter, The Plug Seeker, for sending me that article. And if you want to check him out at @the_Plug Seeker, brilliant on Twitter, always retweets some excellent, interesting articles. And now with his own YouTube channel as well, busy making videos. You can go check that out. And a couple more things from The Plug Seeker, which will bring you on tomorrow's show that we haven't got time for today, because today I want to get to the post that I received. Old-fashioned post arrived through the letterbox and everything. And this is from Bill. Now, Bill Pollock of Charge Car in Canada dropped me a note a few weeks ago now to say, would you mind if we sent you some of our kind of little hangers for your car, and you can, if you want to, little stickers. Put one in your EV. You can get them out to your listeners as well if you want to. These are the battery on board stickers, and I gave my address, and Bill indeed sent it through from Canada, from Ontario, and says, thank you very much for the podcast. Keep up the great work. Well, I don't know. It's not really work. It's not that great on some days. If you don't mind, he says, here is some stuff we've sent you. Well, thank you so much, Bill, from chargecar.ca. We've got some brilliant battery on board stickers here. There's a ton of them that he sent me for, I must say, at his expense from Canada. Thank you so much, Bill. Please go check them out, chargecar.ca. Some very, very cool. They're green with white writing on, and he says that the stickers have a low adhesive face, doesn't mark or leave residue or interfere with the defogging or anything like that. And if you want to stick this in your car, it won't harm your window or anything like that. It's a cool little sticker. The battery on board sticker. I love this. It's such a cool little diamond-shaped sticker that would look very cool in the back of your car. I tell you what, because he sent me a whole bunch of them, if you want one, drop me an email to hello@evnewsdaily.com. My email address is hello@evnewsdaily.com, and as he sent them all the way from Canada, I'll send you one of these. Send me your, if you want one, drop me your details, name and address, and I'll ping you one out. I've got a ton of them here, and it'll be a lot cheaper for me to send them in the UK, second class post for not too much money, than getting them from Canada. Bill, thank you so much for these battery on board stickers. If you'd like one, like I say, send me an email and I'll send them out to you as a kind gesture, as a thank you from me to you for listening to the podcast, and certainly a thank you from Bill Pollock as well. Bill, you're a legend. Thank you so much for that. So this is episode 192, coming up to episode 200. Got some exciting things we're working on for that. Keep your comments coming in. The email address is hello@evnewsdaily.com. If you would like to suggest some changes, things you like, things we could do differently on the podcast, or even leave it as it is, let me know, and we can make it how you want it from episode 200 onwards. In the meantime, every previous 191 episodes are on iTunes and Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, TuneIn, Stitcher, and the blog at evnewsdaily.com. If you subscribe, well, you get them first and free and automatically, and the podcast always will be free, by the way. And if you want to catch up on the socials, that's Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, just search EV News Daily. Have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you tomorrow.